Okay. Hi, hello, and welcome again to another episode of Natural Juan. And this episode is another unscripted episode, meaning don't be surprised if I'll make a lot of mistakes tonight. But anyway, this time we're going to be discussing GM Apprentice's Steampunk Adventure Guide and card deck. Now, when it comes to GM Apprentice, created by Nathan Rockwood and Larcenous Designs, it's very similar to all the other decks, except, as you can see here, the theme is steampunk. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, when we say steampunk, this is a branch of science fiction, but instead of taking place in the far future, it takes place in the industrial age, or a setting very much like the industrial age. This is where you get steam-powered trains, steam-powered airships, and steam-powered battleships, oceanic battleships, naval warfare with steam engines. I'm sure some of you have already heard of cyberpunk. When you talk about cyberpunk, you're talking about cyborgs, man meets machine, people with computers that are installed directly into their brains. That's cyberpunk. But when you talk about steampunk, this is more, as the name suggests, steam power. So there's a lot of steam powered equipment and a lot of stuff you might find back during the early 19th century, when people relied a lot on steam power. Now, this adventure guide runs pretty much the same, and just like the horror deck, it runs on similar principles. But the core themes are to reinvent the past. This is like you want to try something new. If you've heard of the anime Steam Boy or the Leviathan series by Scott Westerfield, novel series that features genetically engineered monsters and steam robots, that sort of thing. Yeah, they go back in the past, but they try to make it cooler. In World War I, there were no giant robots, right? But in Scott Westerfield's book, the Leviathan series, they did have those things. And now, the next one is to find the coming thing. When you talk about the coming thing, this is the time when people make new discoveries. Actually, the industrial age was, in its own right, an age of discovery. Like, people were first discovering telephones, electricity, the time of Nikola Tesla and what's his name? I'm sorry, but yeah, this was the time when people started finally exploring new technologies. Now, to overthrow the master, these are the more darker parts of the industrial age. Come on, for all you listeners and viewers out there who are Filipino like me, you do realize that a lot of Philippine history takes place in the industrial age. That's when we lost Jose Rizal, our hero, because, as far as the Spaniards were concerned, we were just slaves. So, yeah, that sort of thing. It's about revolutions, and believe me, during the industrial age, there were a lot of revolutions. Remember, this is when you started having the American Civil War and World War I. Usually, steampunk encompasses that age. And the next is choosing a doom. We've discussed this a little bit in the horror deck. But of course, here it's more steampunk themed, like Rabble. These could be robots, wild rogue robots with bad programming, mercenaries, local wildlife. Remember, this was also the time of the Wild West, when the settlers in North America were spreading westward, and they would run into animals that were very difficult to control, so I guess this includes them. So unexplored lands. Remember also that in the industrial age, this was when people were finally realizing how Africa had a lot of resources they could utilize. So this was when the European settlers of Africa started really exploring the continent, the dark continent, and finding resources like rubber, oil, metals, and other minerals, or gems and diamonds. So next is the mad scientist. You might be facing like the Dr. Frankenstein and plague. Because also, take note, in World War I, and I think even before that, people were starting to experiment with unconventional warfare like chemical and biological weapons, poison gas, or starting to culture samples of diseases like smallpox or the flu. And remember, in the 1920s, this was when we finally had the Spanish flu, which pretty much decimated a lot of civilizations. You better take note of that because it's kind of similar to what's happening to us now in COVID-19 in 2020. So yeah, next, let's see a sample here. So, well, I was thinking of creating a different sample, but I decided a different framework sheet, but this pretty much encompasses what I want to see. Like, to overthrow the master, you want to start a revolution. Your doom is Lord Bright, and so the problem is there's these people who are pitted against you. Your problem, these are the people who are involved. Lord Bright, future emperor of the world. Then you have the problems. These are your minor problems. There's the sunken city, which is the unexplored land. You want to explore that. And the next one is a political opponent and stuff like that. And here are the little questions. So yeah, now let's take a look at the cards themselves. As you can see, yeah, it's very much like a very much industrial look to them, like with its gears and mechanisms and stuff like that. See, it's still pretty much Nathan Rockwood's Game Master Apprentice cards, but with a whole lot of difference now. So you see, yeah, it looks like a light bulb, something like, what was his name? Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry for the delay. Yeah, but like the ideas of Nikola Tesla and Graham Bell when he made the first telephones. So yeah, you can see how very similar it is to a lot of industrial age stuff. This deck is perfect for solo games or parties that would prefer to play without a game master, and people who do want to play with a game master, but the game master is either lazy or he wants a quicker way to play his game. So this is the deck of cards that's perfect for that. So for games that I would recommend for this is like the Iron Kingdoms RPG or the Pure Steam third-party supplement for Pathfinder. That's another good choice for this because that's a steampunk adventure and it's also a western. A lot of other stuff you can find here, but like I said, everything is steampunk themed. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Game Master Apprentice's steampunk card deck and adventure guide. So yeah, if you like this video, please feel free to like and share. And if you want more stuff like this, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. And anyway, I was also going to add that right now the Philippines is in dire straits. We're in a lot of trouble right now, and we'd really appreciate it if more people would really help in the effort. It doesn't matter if you're a fellow Filipino or a foreigner, and I'm not forcing you, but if you know our situation and you want to help, please do. So anyway, this is another episode of Natural Juan. I hope everyone has a good day, and I'll see you all in the next video.